What's going on, everyone? It is time for another main event mixer. I am your host, Mr. OTM, Kyle Gagliardi, and I'm joined by my favorite wrestling junkies this morning. I guess it's the afternoon for you guys. It's noon. I decided to push the show back. Mr. Cincinnati, how you doing, sir?
Fantastic, man. Just getting over a little St. Patty's Day soiree and getting ready for the weekend.
Love that. And the podcast dad, the podcast father, if you will, has joined us as well. How you doing, Mr. Shoops?
I'm doing all right. Got punched in the eye this morning by one of my children, so I'm playing through the injury, but we're here.
Ooh, what hurt more? Cody slapped to the rock or your kid slapping the shit out of you?
I'm curious which one it was.
My pride hurts the most. Yes. It was my daughter, by the way. My daughter's the one that punched me. So.
That was going to be my guess, actually.
How old's your daughter?
She'll be 2 in May.
Oh, that's right, because you got twins, correct?
I do. Every day.
Best of both worlds. Love that. Well, boys, we had some good stuff happen this weekend. Of course, Smackdown on Friday. I even decided to watch Rampage, which is a rarity for me. Podcast dad, I don't know why I did, but when you have nothing going on, I guess you got to throw on some wrestling.
Fair. That's fair. I'm not mad at you. I'm just surprised.
No, trust me, I was surprised too when I was watching it. But before we get into Friday Night Smackdown, don't forget to show us some love on all of our socials at mainevent_net. Give us a follow. Check out our merchandise that we have at the onthemarkwrestlingpodcast.com. And if you want some wrestling junkies specific merchandise, where would they go to get some of that?
That is wrestlingjunkiespod.creator-spring, I want to say. I completely butchered that, I'm sure. But I'll put it in the, on our socials. I'll put it in the comments as well.
Yeah, and you can give our shows a follow down below at Pod on the Mark and at Junkies Pod. You guys are live, 3 or 4 times a week?
Yeah, give or take.
Yep.
Yeah, so make sure you're giving them a follow. And, of course, On the Mark Wrestling Podcast is only live on Thursday. But let's get into it, guys. Let's go to Friday Night Smackdown, where things started off with Logan Paul, and he brought out his good friend KSI, a co-founder of Prime, which is now apparently a sponsor for the WWE. Podcast Dad, I'm going to go to you first. Let's talk about that sponsorship. What do you think about that big-ass Prime bottle being in the middle of the ring?
See, I'm okay with the Slim Jim logos around the barricade. I'm okay with the Cinnamon Toast Crunch on the mat, or on the ring aprons around ringside. I hate this. I do not want a logo in the middle of the ring that's not like a pay-per-view logo. If they would have done like the 4 corners like they did with Slim Jim back in the day for Halloween Havoc, I probably would have been okay with that. But to have that thing plastered right in the middle of the ring, it pained me to see. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's a little obnoxious, Mr. Cincinnati, I would say.
Yeah, I'm this one feels weird. This one hurts. I mean, And I get it. That's where things are going in the world of combat sports. UFC has been doing it for years. AEW does it. The thing is, with WWE, I mean, 50 years, this has never happened. So I get it. It's a chance to make history. It's a chance to continue to leverage their brand. It's an opportunity to continue to leverage their relationship with Logan Paul, who brings millions of followers with him in anything that he does. I mean, it is free publicity. I mean, just the sheer number of people that love Prime, and I know that Podcast Dad is one of them. I'm
Not bad.
indifferent. You know,
I like it.
It's fine. Like,
Not
but,
the
but
energy
this
drink,
is
the energy
yeah.
drink is terrible.
It is
I
very
will say
bad.
that.
Stick to Monster, am I right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, you are.
I think the one thing that makes me feel somewhat okay about this is that it's only at PLEs. I don't know that I want to see that bottle all the time everywhere now. Like no, but
no, it's 2 nights of
money gonna-
WrestleMania, man.
money
No,
gonna
that bottle
money.
can't be there.
Well, it's
Come
going to be
on.
whether we
It's
like it
going
or
to
not.
be.
Okay,
Yeah.
it just okay. Look, brisket will make you feel a little bit better that weekend. All right, just relax.
Brisket makes everybody feel better, I would say.
See,
Now-
exactly.
now-
See,
yeah.
he gets it.
You
Oh,
caught Kyle's
man.
ear. He was like, "Oh, wait a
You
second."
can talk about food. I mean, you could talk about alcohol. I won't get that excited, but you mention any good food, I'm going to get very excited. But we got a comment coming in. Let's see who it is. Mr. Tim Vicious himself from the network. VKM subconsciously had us think that the mat's sacred.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what Gunther always says
For a long
too.
time.
But, I don't really hate it. I mean, like you said, Chris, I'm a fan of Prime, and I respect the grind for Logan Paul. I think he's a great businessman. He's obviously a great professional wrestler, and it's still weird to me to think that we are about to watch Logan Paul compete at his 3rd WrestleMania. Like, where is the time
Yeah.
going?
Wow.
It's
Wow.
yeah.
I didn't even
seriously.
think about it that way. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
Some people don't even get one.
They don't. Yeah, it's just like you can't deny the effect that Logan Paul being in WWE has had on the company, especially now that it is more commercial than ever. I mean, now that there's this merger, it's basically we are open for business in any opportunity that we can get to do that, which plays right into how Logan Paul has cultivated his brand in the first place. I mean, we don't have to like him, but we do have to respect how good he is in the ring. Something that we really didn't think was going to be the case, but he's kind of set the new standard of what that looks like. I mean, before him and before Bad Bunny, Ronda Rousey was the next one to have kind of that impact. And even that kind of that initial first run, it nosedived there. I don't see that happening with Logan Paul here. So it's just they're going to continue to leverage the relationship because everybody's making money.
Yeah. Bringing prestige back to the United States champion. Am I right?
Yeah, I would agree. What has he?
It's been fine so far. Okay, it's been fine so far.
He's at least showing up.
He is.
showing
He
up.
is.
That's what you were worried
That's
about.
all I asked.
That is what I was like. That's what I was worried about. So far, so good. We'll see what happens after WrestleMania. Okay.
He's not going to have it after WrestleMania, so it's fine.
Yeah, I would assume he's going to be taking some time off from the WWE after that.
Yeah,
Then
so
again, I
much
could be
full time.
wrong. Who knows? Because I know he signed a new contract and whatnot. But how about that RKO that KSI took? I mean, that's a guy that's never been in a WWE ring before, and he sold that RKO tremendously, I thought.
I would for a bag.
Would it be that
Well,
good?
I mean, we talk about it. We had questions about Logan Paul when he came in. Is KSI one of those ones that could come in and maybe do the same thing that Logan Paul did? They could have a tag team together, and I wouldn't hate it.
I'll tell you what, we don't have a celebrity
That's right.
match for WrestleMania 40.
Mm-mm.
We usually
No.
got one. Maybe he finds
No,
his way into
don't.
something. I don't know what, but I mean
No,
that leads
yeah.
me to another question I have. I'm curious on where you guys think that the U.S. title is going to be defended at WrestleMania. Is it going to be a triple threat with Kevin Owens? Is it going to be a multi-man match, or do you think this is just going to end up being Randy versus Logan?
Mr. Cincinnati, I'll let you go.
I'm gonna lean more towards triple threat. I mean, you can't leave Kevin Owens off of the WrestleMania card. I mean, with everything he's done over the last year, outside of the U.S. title program, I mean, yeah, they've got about 30 days left, give or take, to actually get something going. But I think at this point you go with what's working. You know, they very clearly have beef that didn't necessarily end in the elimination chamber. It's just kind of added, you know, this additional layer as far as Randy Orton being involved. You also don't leave him off the card coming back after 18 months away. Like this is kind of perfect for everybody here. Logan Paul needs a great showing at WrestleMania. We know we can go in the ring. This is, you know, Randy is another high profile opponent, and I mean, think back to because Kyle, we've both been playing showcase mode on 2K24. Randy versus Seth in 2015 is in that showcase, and that was, I mean, to that point, one of the best matches of Seth's career. Logan Paul needs another one of those moments here as well. I think the triple threat is the right way to do that for him.
No, I think we're getting a multi-man ladder match. I think you're gonna somehow get AJ and LA Knight into that match. Kevin Owens, Logan Paul, Randy Orton will be in that match. And I think, you know, you want him to come up, make an impact. Why not put Braun Breaker in that match? I mean, he doesn't have a clear path to Mania. If you want to get him on the card, what better way to get him on the card than put him in a multi-man match where he can kind of be protected, get his spots in, get his big moments, and then kind of, you know, powder for the rest. And who knows, maybe he wins, and then that's the major impact he has on the main roster. So I think eventually we will see some of these stories intertwine. I was thinking maybe Cross and Lashley going in there, but I think that's going to be its own separate program at Mania.
Maybe a 6-man.
Yeah, they have to have a ladder match at Mania. It's kind of tradition now.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, that either the IC title is defended in a ladder match or the US. It wouldn't matter to me which one. Obviously, you disagree that the IC should not be a multi-man match. Oh, you know, we're going to talk about the Raw Gauntlet match that's happening towards the end of this show, so then I'll get more of your opinions on that then. But yeah, that's definitely what I'd like to see too, Chris, is this defended in a multi-man match. I think there's a lot of, you know, credible contenders out there. It's a way to get people on the card. I think you could even throw like a Grayson Waller into that match, maybe an Austin Theory as well, because I mean, they're kind of just jobbing as a tag team right now and not doing much. So that gives them at least something. But I think overall, it's going to be fun. I like what Logan Paul's doing. You got Randy Orton involved, and Kevin Owens has been, well, you know, one of the highlights of the last couple WrestleManias. So I would assume he's going to have a big moment for us, too, at WrestleMania 40. But other things happen on SmackDown. You mentioned Lashley and Cross. We finally got a one-on-one matchup. It ended in DQ. But, you know, overall, I didn't think the match was anything spectacular by any means. Like I said a little bit ago, I think this is ultimately just going to lead to a 6-man. But Mr. Cincinnati, what do you think about Lashley and Cross going one-on-one here on SmackDown?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm fine with the DQ finish here. I mean, there's still the larger story at play. WrestleMania, this is kind of that moment. I mean, Triple H, we know how much of a Karrion Cross guy he is. That's one of the first names that came back during that initial takeover of creative. Bobby Lashley, especially after last year, we were supposed to get Lashley versus Wyatt. That didn't end up happening. Lashley didn't even get a match on the card, and he rightfully deserved it. I think that having this be a program where, yes, it's another multi-man match to get people on the card, but it's very clearly Lashley's faction versus Cross's. This is a great use for everybody here. This Final Testament run so far feels different than anything that we've gotten from Karrion Cross since he's come back. And they seem really committed to fleshing out this character, fleshing out this group and what they can do. The addition of BFAB to Lashley and the Profits is perfect as well, because this, I mean, for all we know, this could not just be a 6-man tag match. This could be an eight-person match at WrestleMania as well, to give them an opportunity to kind of even the playing field here. So not super surprising this ended in a DQ finish. There's a larger story here and a much bigger payoff coming in about a month.
Yeah, we've seen a bunch of DQ finishes between these groups. You know, I think a couple weeks ago, AOP, I think, won off a DQ. I know they won clean at one point, not clean, but they won at one point, got an actual finish. This one ended in a DQ, and I'm not mad at it. I think we're going to get some sort of like street fight, Falls Count Anywhere match between the 6 of these men at WrestleMania. This is good. I'm glad Lashley is involved in something. Lashley has been kind of quiet over the last year. And I mean, this is the most prominent Cross has been on screen since he came back. So I'm not mad at that at all either. I actually really like the gimmick that they're running with. It's almost like Sean O'Hare back in the day. I kind of get those vibes from this Cross run. And I think that you give him the big win at Mania and kind of maybe let's see what he can do next. But yeah, like the finish is fine. This is the program for Mania. It looks like it's clearly going to be that, and I'm cool with it either way.
My only thing with the Final Testament is like, what does Paul Ellering bring to the table?
How dare you?
Doing this.
Legend. Legend.
Sure. Yeah, he's a legend, but like, why? We have Scarlett. She's basically doing the role that he used to do in it.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna argue anything with Scarlett, so.
No, I mean, more TV time the better
Absolutely
with
not.
Scarlett. But I agree with what you guys were mainly saying. I don't really have much to add from this, but another interesting thing that happened on SmackDown. Before I get into that, we got about 12 or 13 of you watching live, so if you could do us a favor, share, like, tell a friend that we are live right now. We're just talking wrestling. You can join the conversation in the comments section. But the interesting thing I want to talk about, I'm going to go to the podcast dad first, is the backstage that we saw between Bianca and Naomi. We saw that Naomi had a little bit of concern for Bayley, kind of felt bad as we saw Bayley cut that promo, or they have an interview, I should say, backstage, and Naomi felt bad for Bayley, but Bianca was just straight up telling her why. Bayley, brought this on herself. Why should you feel sorry for her? I thought that was interesting, and that could lead to something down the road potentially. I don't know if it's going to be between Bianca and Naomi. Well, what did you think, Podcast Dad, what we saw here backstage?
Yeah, this could set up a program between Bianca and Naomi. Get them on the card for Mania. I wouldn't be mad at that. That's a fresh matchup. You could see Naomi. I don't know if Naomi would get the win, but if Bianca can get the win, hey, there's your first challenger for Bayley after Mania. After these comments, like, hey, you deserve what you got, kind of thing. Maybe they're planting the seeds for a heel turn for Bianca. It might be time. We've been kind of asking for that since the match against EO at, when was that? Was that
SummerSlam? Or
no?
Oh, yeah, that was Backlash.
The one before Backlash, yeah. When the crowd kind of turned on Bianca and was ready for EO to win. We've kind of been clamoring for a heel turn since, and we haven't got it quite yet. Maybe that's something that they're going to push a little harder now. With, again, that Charlotte Flair size void on the roster, you don't really have a big bad heel at the moment. And we know Bianca can do it from her NXT days.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I think it's setting up the first challenger for Bayley after Mania, though.
I think the thing I like the most out of all this is that now there's no stupid, naive baby faces. I think they're just showing a character that's aware of what's going on. Like, usually, most of the time when Vince was running the show, and sorry I mentioned the name, but they would just be naive and play dumb and fall into the trap. But it seems like Bianca is aware of the situation happening. But Eric, I'm curious on what you thought about this backstage segment.
Yeah, this is this is very reminiscent of the early Jey Uso coming over to Raw. Damage Control has run roughshod over the women's division for the better part of a couple of years now. How successful that run was is certainly open to debate up until EO won the title. But the very clear direction of that group was to take out anybody and everybody that they can. Becky Lynch, thorn in their side, Bianca Belair as well. Like this is that, Bayley's gonna have to go through that redemption tour here too. She knows that she's messed up, and now she is trying to figure out her place on her own again. Now that her teammates have turned against her. I also love the response to this backstage interaction with Damage Control and Dakota essentially saying, I've been the one that's been pulling the strings the entire time. That's great for Dakota because, up until this Damage Control run, I mean, everything she had done in WWE had been snake bit to this point, blew out both of her knees, a lot of time on the shelf, and really didn't get an opportunity to shine. Damage Control was kind of the first wave of that new talent that Triple H brings back, and she definitely took advantage of this opportunity. And I think that, now kind of having her take over as leader of this is another way to prepare her for a singles run as well. Because quite frankly, the Kabuki Warriors and Io Sky don't need Dakota Kai. They just don't. Those three on their own. Even, what we saw on Raw last week, just seeing Shinsuke Nakamura share a screen with them, I'm like, give me that group. So we'll see, but I think right now, this is Bayley's mea culpa moment. Jey Uso went through it. I think it's only appropriate that we're seeing that on the women's side as well.
I like that, and I like what we're gonna see next week: Dakota versus Bayley in singles action. That's gonna be fun. I mean, I'm sure there'll be a DQ something involved with damage control ringside. But yeah, like you were saying with Dakota, I think this is going to be great for her because, I mean, not everybody got to see what she did in NXT, but she's a great babyface, but I think she's an even better heel. We saw that turn on Tegan Nox that happened at War Games. That was one of my favorite heel turns in NXT history right there. So we know Dakota can be a leader. It's just, let's see what happens here going forward with damage control. But other things that happened on Friday Night SmackDown, Dragon Lee defeated Angel in a match, but it's more about the bigger picture, which is the LWO versus Legado del Fantasma. I'm kind of curious on where you guys see this headed for WrestleMania, because I'm assuming that these two factions are going to be involved in some sort of match. I just don't know if it's going to be just straight up Santos versus Rey, or do you guys see this evolving into a multi-man match as well?
So I personally want to see Rey versus Santos one-on-one, and it frees up these two tag teams because Pierce and Aldis have said they have an announcement coming about the future of the tag team titles coming soon. If it's, what I'm hoping for, we're probably going to see a split of these titles. Give these teams a chance to compete for these tag team titles. Add some gold to either one of these factions. Let the leaders go at it on the biggest stage of the year. Get them on the card in a multi-man tag team match. I mean, the goal still remains the same, getting everybody on the card where they can. But I think now you leave it to Rey and you give this, this is Santos's time to shine, especially after we saw Dom get the crazy heat and look as good as he ever has last year against his dad. Let's have Santos get that same one-on-one opportunity.
Oh, Mr. Cincinnati.
Oh, don't start.
This is WrestleMania, man. We got to get everybody on the card. I see this being a multi-man match, but the numbers are skewed, right? Legado has Santos, Humberto, Garza. They only have 3. LWO has Carlito, Rey, Dragon Lee, and the other 2.
Yeah.
So Cruz and Wild?
Del Toro.
Oh, all right.
So somebody on the LWO is going to turn, right?
Yeah. Carlito would be nice.
Carlito is going to be the one to turn. And I'm all for that because let's be honest, this Carlito return has been mid for lack of a better term. It hasn't been great. We were there in Indy when we saw him come back, and it wasn't anything, the pop was cool, and then he didn't really do much in the match. And then he hasn't really done much since. Carlito's a much better heel than he is a babyface. Put him over on that side, say you have the story behind it about, hey, I was running the LWO just fine until Rey came back and blah, 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 blah. Santos can kind of get into his brain about that. If you make it 4-on-4, again, get everybody on the card. It'll be a fun match. I think that Rey Santos match can come at a later point where they get a little bit more shine. It could be SummerSlam. I don't know where they are schedule-wise. Like, I know Backlash is in for Paris, right?
Yeah, Lyon, France. Close enough. I mean, it's France, not Paris.
Yeah. So I don't know if they have anything coming up as far as like Puerto Rico thing, but I could see something like that coming up. But I would say give them a smaller stage for that. So you could give them maybe a little bit longer of a time to work and get a true one-on-one feeling where we have this big blow up between both groups. But give the groups the big stage at WrestleMania. Let everybody be on the card. Have some fun with it.
I think I'm going to agree with the podcast dad here. Let's get everybody on the card. And you also have Zelina and Elektra that can mix it up too. Get them involved as well. I mean, it would be good stuff. I'm sure it would be a fun little match. But, seeing Santos versus Rey eventually, though, yes, I think definitely needs to happen. That would be a money match. And I got to say, maybe I'm a little biased because I've always been a fan of his, but I truly believe that Dragon Lee is the future of Lucha Libre in WWE. Like, he could be the next Rey Mysterio the way that he's being presented. I think his run in WWE so far has been fantastic. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah,
they've
been looking at that guy.
Yeah, he's what they wanted Sin Cara to be.
Exactly.
Isn't he Mystico now in AEW?
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know if it's the same person though, is it?
I thought it was.
It is, yeah.
Is it?
He's got the
then the original Sin Cara is back in Mexico because he's working too.
Oh, I forgot there was
Yeah,
There's
Sin
like
Cara's
there's
fun.
multiple Mystico Sin Caras right now.
Remember when we had the Sin Cara versus Sin Cara match?
I try not
Azul
to.
versus,
About that,
I
yeah.
forgot what they called it.
I try not to remember that.
Yeah, that was rough. And that's when I first started watching wrestling and I started to question, okay, why am I a fan of this again?
Yeah, those were the thin years. We made it though. We made it out on the other side.
We made it because now we even got a new entrance for The Rock. And talk about that presentation. You had the lightning bolts coming down, the lights turn off. I tell you what, fellas, this might be the best entrance in the business right now. And of course, it's the most electrifying man in sports entertainment.
Yep. Black Adam lives.
God, I don't think he wants to be reminded of that. Okay.
Just saying.
I mean, this is everything that we need from The Rock right now. The fact that we're getting a goated run from The Rock in 2024, definitely didn't see this coming. This is just everything that you expect from him. If he's going to, be involved in Mania, he's going to give it his all. And I got to admire everything he's done so far with it. And certainly using social media to his advantage as always. I mean, 16-minute promo, deletes it, and then releases the director's cut of it, like not even an hour later. I mean, we sat and watched that when we were waiting for Bryce's show to start last week, and it's just like, is there anything this guy can't do right now except for run a football league?
Hey, come on!
He's
now,
working
Battlehawks.
on it.
Come on, I'm a Battlehawks fan.
I know. I'm still excited. I'm still gonna give it a shot again. We'll see how long it lasts, but
I'm gonna go to a game.
Battlehawks, that might be a sore subject.
Yeah.
Didn't they take the Bengals quarterback?
Yeah.
Yeah.
AJ
That's
McCarron.
fine.
Yeah.
It's okay. We got
That's my QB.
we got Joe Shiesty and Jake Feisty. It's fine.
Oh,
Lots of show for it.
Jake Browning. Yeah. Hey, do you guys make the playoffs?
No, but hey, at least we had it in the palm of our hands. We tried to, I mean, we played with house money. I feel like I have to say this every time that we talk to Bengals. Yeah, we played with house money this year. God, right.
Kyle, if you want to talk like playoff football, we can talk another time. This guy doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah, we keep.
Yeah, we'll see how you guys do without your center next year.
That's fine.
They're missing a couple more pieces. I know
worry.
roster's changed a little bit. But
Don't
hey,
worry.
If we could do a spin-off podcast about football if we wanted to too. So comment down below if you guys want to see that. But Chris, you got anything to add about the entrance specifically? I'm sure we're going to get into what happened, of course, inside the ring.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was. I'm sure it was kind of all his idea. Like I'm sure it was just, hey, I need a new heel entrance kind of thing. I mean, I can't really add too much to it. Like it was awesome. Let's be like, it was just so awesome. I can't wait to see it on the Mania stage. Like that's going to be crazy. It was just like chef's kiss.
Perfect. It was perfect. And I thought the segment itself was really good. Obviously what Seth said on Monday, calling him Diarrhea Dwayne, I thought was shit, pun intended. But I love the Mr. Midlife Crisis line he hit The Rock with in this.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. The diarrhea shit was just terrible, but I enjoyed it.
Hey, they were chanting it.
Well.
It got over.
They chanted Cookie Puss 10 years ago when The Rock was there. They'll chant anything.
Anybody else want to carve out ice cream cake right now? Or is that just me?
That's you.
Never mind. Okay.
That's you.
But overall, this segment, we saw Cody obviously get his lick back as he slapped The Rock. Got cut a little short, it seemed, on time there in the final minutes. But overall, Mr. Cincinnati, how do we feel about this? We now know we are going to get the tag match night one, and there is a stipulation, obviously, if they win the Bloodline Rules match, yada, yada, yada. But they also added, if Cody doesn't defeat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, he will never get a world title shot. I thought that was interesting.
Deja vu, man. Deja vu. We saw the same thing in AEW, and he was true to his word there. This has to be different here. It has to, because as over as Cody is right now, they're going to have a really tough time trying to get people to buy in for a third straight WrestleMania where he finishes the story. I just think that it's just irresponsible to not have him walk out with the title this year. I also see the Bloodline winning this tag team match at WrestleMania. I mean, this is Rock's return. This is, going to be longer than the squash match of Eric Rowan, which was like 16 seconds in Dallas. But this is going to set up, and this is how my brother always says it, and this is much like Tribal Combat was at SummerSlam. This is going to be an overbooked to perfection main event when done properly. We know that, the Bloodline have made a lot of enemies over the last 3 years, and those that are still left in this company are probably going to have something to say to make sure that this ends. Whether this is, Seth falling on his sword in order to help Cody succeed, if it costs him his world title, he's certainly going to do that. But yeah, this is what we needed. We knew that WrestleMania was going to be the biggest show in company history. This is another way of guaranteeing that happens.
Yeah, I think, like Eric said, the Bloodline will win on night one. I could see Cody taking the pin, just again, plant that seed of doubt in everyone's mind, like, holy crap, they're going to do this again. Because I don't think you want to pin Seth 2 nights in a row. Because I think we're all in agreement he is going to lose the title because he's kind of overlooking Drew McIntyre and he's not paying attention to what Drew's doing, and I think that's going to end up costing Seth. But back to the main event of night 2, yes, it's going to be overbooked as hell. I think, Eric, I made and I know you probably haven't seen the movie, and again, I'm sorry, comic book nerd here. It's going to be like the Avengers Endgame at that final scene when Thanos has all his crew, and then Cody just seems like it's all over, and then boom, Sami Zayn shows up, Jey Uso shows up, like they all just start showing up to help Cody finally get this win. Yeah, it's going to be pure cinema, like that's what this whole thing is. And yes, they did go long. I think we have learned that The Rock needs to start the show rather than end the show, because the week before he went 45 minutes and that was fine. We just had to cram everything else in. This week, I don't know if you guys have seen the footage online about the cameraman going, we gotta go, yeah. Rock, hurry up. That was funny to see. But yeah, I'm happy. Like, we got the slap in. We saw that. The line from The Rock going, you were a mistake, was hilarious, because doesn't Rock have like a 20-year-old daughter?
Yeah.
So like that's kind of funny there. But that's The Rock. He's illogical and he's pissing you off because whatever he says, he's saying it with confidence and he's right. I cannot wait for this WrestleMania. It's gonna be awesome.
Yes, it is. I'm very excited for it as well. And I think a thing that actually is getting overlooked is the fact that we are getting The Rock in an actual match at WrestleMania. Everybody wants Cody to finish the story. There's plenty of other great matches that are going to be on WrestleMania, but we're getting the frickin' Rock. He's a legend. He's a future Hall of Famer. It's insane that we are getting this in 2024. So appreciate it. Take it all in. I know that live crowd definitely appreciated The Rock. He got probably more cheers than he got boos for once, which was interesting to see. But hey, when you got that star power, that's just what happens. But Tim's got a question for us. I'll let the podcast dad go first here. If the Bloodline is banned, what are the odds they'll insert Tama Tonga into this feud?
Oh, that's an interesting one for sure, because I don't know. I think the thing that we always talk about is how familiar is the crowd? Like, how familiar would the crowd be with the Tama Tonga? I don't know if WrestleMania is the stage to do it. I don't know if that pop would be there. It seems like they're doing something with Gallows and Anderson in NXT where they keep talking about we have friends too. I think that's what's going to happen with Tama Tonga, is he's going to come show up maybe at like a stand and deliver where it's a smaller crowd and you can kind of see that surprise and help them maybe win the tag titles or something. I don't know if this early on, because Eric has pitched an idea and I am all for it. At War Games, we get like this Bloodline Civil War. Then you have Team Rock, Team Roman. I think that's when you start seeing a Tama Tonga show up. A Jacob Fatu show up, like other wrestlers that are out there showing up and either going on the Rock side and Roman side, and we get this full-on Civil War. So I would say no at WrestleMania for Tama Tonga, but I could see him inserted later on down the line in this feud.
Yeah, I would agree. I agree in part. I think I disagree that the crowd, especially a Mania crowd, wouldn't know who Tama Tonga is just because that's the international crowd that comes in that weekend. So
That's
I
fair.
do think that it would be a larger pop than if this were elimination, or not elimination chamber, it's the Rumble where it was in Texas again this year. Like, I think it would be a different crowd than what we've seen. That I think that they would know who he is, but I can also see Tama Tonga having a very Solo Sikoa type run in NXT. He's not going to be there long. It's going to be,
No.
if I had to guess, whatever involves Gallows and Anderson here, and then bring him up in time, for a for hopefully a Samoan War Games match.
Yeah, and like, in all honesty, like, how big of a star is a Tama Tonga? If he shows up at Mania, like, is that the end all be all? Like, holy crap, it's Tama Tonga? Like, not really, and that's nothing against him.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know how big of a pop that would even be.
Sure.
That was my concern, and that was going to be my answer as well to Tim. I don't know if WrestleMania is the right spot for him. Just like I watch WWE and AEW weekly. That's about it. I will keep tabs on other promotions and whatnot, but I can't sit here and say I know anything about Tama Tonga. I don't know his finishing move. I don't know what his music would sound like, and that's probably how majority of the audience is going to be. It's a good point, Mr. Cincinnati, about it being an international crowd, and maybe they would be able to pick up on it. Similar to when like AJ Styles came over, a lot of people knew who that was because you put the Phenomenal on there. But I think a lesser known B-level pay-per-view would probably be best for him, or show up in NXT at Stand and Deliver. That could definitely be an opportunity. But I think that's enough from SmackDown. Another good show there. But we got AEW Collision that happened last night as well, and we found out that we are going to be getting a dream match between Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay happening at AEW Dynasty. And we talked about Ospreay and Takeshita's match on our respective podcasts this week. It just seems like, Mr. Cincinnati, that we are going to get maybe 8 to 10 Ospreay match of the year contenders, because this match against Danielson, holy shit.
Yeah, this is this is epic. I mean, there's really just no other way to put this. And there's been some discourse in the IWC as far as, is it too early to pull the trigger on this match? And I don't think so. I mean, this is at this point, Will Ospreay is coming in to do whatever he wants. Bryan Danielson is on essentially a quasi-retirement tour. He's going to do whatever he wants. And that's the beauty of AEW, is that while I may be critical of them as far as certain stories or certain things that they could do to improve the storytelling, this is just going to be a good damn wrestling match. And sometimes that's all you need on a pay-per-view. And they've shown that. There really wasn't much of a story to Ospreay versus Takeshita other than Don Callis just wanted to see them fight. Like, we don't know what's going to come of that still, but like, in AEW, this is the one company, that's how they set themselves apart, is they're just going to put on great wrestling matches. This is going to be a great wrestling match. So I'm going to sit back and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, I think holy shit's an understatement, man. Like, this is going to be, I mean, this might be match of the build to Takeshita and Ospreay was match of the century. This might be match of the century. I mean, Danielson is amazing at this point. He made a fan of Kyle out of Eddie Kingston. Like, that's where we're at with Danielson at this point. Like, he's one of the best wrestlers ever that we've ever seen. Ospreay is one of the, I would say, most unique wrestlers we've ever seen, with the speed and the precision of everything he does. This match is going to be amazing. If there is people on the internet community that are struggling that, oh, this is too soon, shut up, go away. You don't like wrestling. Like, that's just how it is.
Right.
If you're going to complain about this match, don't watch wrestling, like, period.
Right.
Thank God for AEW that we get this. And I know I'm going to get heat for that, but if AEW wasn't around, we wouldn't be getting this match.
No.
And that's something that we need to think about. Like, everybody that wishes doom and gloom on the wrestling business, like, no, we get this match because AEW is around. Yes, Tony Khan sometimes is an idiot. Okay. Have you read what Vince McMahon has done? Like, just, it is what it is. Like, I don't care. Like, I am getting a match that I thought I would never see, and it's because of this company, and they're doing it in 5 weeks?
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. I don't see why anybody would complain about that whatsoever. I'd be totally cool with AEW Dynasty just sort of being like a dream match card. Like just having that pay-per-view where you just pop off with banger after banger after banger.
Yeah.
I don't care about storylines. I mean, like you said, it's AEW. Half the time storylines don't even matter. And another thing I find funny, and I noticed that this week when we did just an AEW only show, whenever you post any AEW clips, you're going to get hate. Don't talk positively about AEW. God forbid we say good things about them. But this isn't a tribalistic approach here. We enjoy professional wrestling. We enjoy the independent scene. We have relationships with the independent scene. That's the essence of pro wrestling right there. It's just, why can't we all just enjoy it all? And this match is a generational match. It's going to be absolutely insane. And like the podcast dad said, Bryan Danielson basically made me understand the love for Eddie Kingston. That says a lot, because I was an Eddie Kingston hater for the longest time. I didn't understand it, but now I get it, and I get why. But speaking of Eddie Kingston, he was involved a little bit on Collision as well, as we got to see the return of Pac, who looks like they're going to be having a feud with the new Elite. You have Okada and the Bucks, of course. Podcast Dad, there's some good stuff happening in AEW right now, and having Pac back is just another one of those top guys that's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, AEW's really, really good right now. Like, let's not lie. Like, they went through a stretch where they got hit with the injury bug, and we saw the depth, and it was like, oh no, this is not good. Everybody's starting to come back. Pac is back. They just signed Okada and turned him heel, which nobody saw coming.
Nope.
Big business is in 2 weeks, and we assume we're going to see Mercedes. That is going to level up your women's division. You have an Osprey there full time. Like, we're at a point where wrestling is amazing, and we just spent 40 minutes talking about Smackdown. Like, you go back 2 years ago, I wasn't talking 40 minutes about Smackdown. Like, there's no way. And now AEW has got all these players back. I am a little worried about the roster getting too big, but that's a good problem to have, I think. I think you can now realistically think about doing a brand split. I don't know if Tony wants to do that. You could have your world champion float from show to show, do whatever they need to do. But with, like you said, Pac is back, and you're going to have other people returning. Like MJF is coming back. And that's going to happen. Adam Cole will return from his injury. There are 2 more major players in your pool that you're going to have to figure out what to do with them. And maybe it is splitting that roster up and doing a little bit of brand versus brand. But yeah, it looks like Pac, Eddie Kingston are going against the new Elite. Who's that third member? I don't know. We will find out. But I'm all for this. And it's awesome to see Pac back because he's been gone for a very long time. The vignette that they played the other week for him was amazing, and he's just a great wrestler. Again, another company is okay because we get to see great wrestlers. So again,
and another big name that we don't see on our TVs in the women's division is Britt Baker. She's still eventually going to come back too. So
and Jamie Hayter,
Jamie. How did I forget about her? They're set up for some good months coming up here in 2024.
Yeah, there is one more, and hopefully he's recovering well. But the best bout machine is still just floating in the background there. Once he's healthy and he's ready to come back, I mean, you can't forget about him either. We talk a lot about brand split and kind of their usage of Ring of Honor as well. I mean, at this point, I can't find the tweet, but their champions on Ring of Honor are not necessarily on TV every week, and it's just kind of makes you wonder what is the purpose of this hour of programming if they're not going to get the love and respect that it deserves. And at least, and feel free to disagree with me, but it seems like the only reason that Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor is because he knew that WWE was sniffing around. So if that's just to kind of keep it, exactly. So it's one of those things where I can understand if that's the business movie he'd made, but let's roll Rampage and Ring of Honor into just one giant show. I mean, WWE has 3 shows a week, 2 hours, one of them 3 hours. So why not make Rampage 90 minutes to 2 hours as well and make that mean something too?
I'd be here for that. I totally agree with what you guys are saying. And it's just exciting time for professional wrestling. And I know we keep reiterating it, and it might sound annoying, but it really is one of the best times to be a fan of wrestling. Because like you guys said, AEW seems to found that energy that they had a couple years ago, and the WWE is clicking on all cylinders. But I did say we were going to talk about this. The last thing I got on the agenda for us, and it's happening tomorrow. It is that Raw Gauntlet match to determine the number one contender for Gunther's IC title. Podcast Dad, I know earlier you're shaking your head about the multi-man match. When I look at this Gauntlet match specifically, though, I think it's between two people, Sami Zayn and Chad Gable. And I'm curious on where you see this shaking out here on Monday Night Raw.
Let's see. I wonder who I want to win. Yes, I am hoping that Chad Gable gets his moment. The reason I don't want a multi-man match is Gunther has held this title for, I don't even remember how long at this point.
600 days, I think. Record
breaking. Yeah. When he loses that strap, it needs to mean something, and you need to build a star out of it. I think this is kind of that last opportunity for Chad Gable to become that single star that we've all wanted him to be. And if Chad Gable can go into WrestleMania, have his big moment, defeat Gunther, clean as a whistle, I'd be completely fine with it. It means he is getting that title, means he gets something out of that win. It's not going to hurt Gunther because he has held it for so long and he's brought prestige back to that championship. And now he can go to that world title feud. He can go. Like, that'd be a hell of a first challenger for Cody. I mean,
yeah,
that'd be amazing. You have Bash at Bash in Berlin for something to happen with Gunther, right?
100%.
Yeah. He's
not going to drop the Intercontinental title at that. So why not do it now? Start this singles push where he is starting to run through this bigger talent, the main event talent that we're seeing, and give Chad Gable this moment. I mean, again, I think it was Chad Gable's birthday the other day. He's 38. Like, this is it. Like, this is this. And he has not been to this point in his career where they've had him this hot. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.
My only question to you is if Chad is the one to win this, what do you do with Sami Zayn? And I feel like Sami Zayn is a guy last year that main evented WrestleMania. I feel like he has to be involved in something. And that's why, no disrespect to Chad Gable, I think he's fantastic and deserves another opportunity. It's just like, what's going to sell more tickets? I know they're going to sell regardless, but Sami Zayn, Chad Gable, I think Sami Zayn is the one that needs to win this, personally.
Could we see Sami Zayn added to the world title match? Seth's just overlooking everything. Does he just get to the point where he's like, I don't care who's in the match. Like, I'm focused on the bloodline, and somehow Sami Zayn gets in it. Like, is that an option?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know.
Cincinnati?
Yeah, I mean, you can't rule it out. I mean, let me start with Chad Gable first, just because the social media game over the last few days has been straight fire as far as the pre-tapes that he's put out, and that's what's giving a lot of credibility to him likely being the winner of this gauntlet match. This is, like Chris has said, as far as the multi-man match, it would be easy to do, but whoever wins the Intercontinental title not only needs to beat Gunther, they need to pin Gunther. It's only three people, I think, it would be three people at WrestleMania, most likely Ilya, Braun, and then if it's Chad Gable, like, that's what I would hope for. Mm-hmm. Yes, time to move on to the main event scene. Basically, Gunther is going to lose at WrestleMania. He's not losing again this year. That's just not how he has been booked since he's been here in WWE. He's going to take his lumps. He's going to move on. He's going to set his sights on the World Heavyweight title. But after WrestleMania, I don't expect him to lose another match this year. But as far as Sami goes, yeah, this is I think this is going to be the beginning of a slow descent into madness for Seth Rollins, because he has been so focused on the bloodline pretty much this entire calendar year. He's overlooking Drew. He's, if they add Sami to this match, he's also one of those guys. Fine, whatever. I don't care. I'm still a champion. I'll show you why I'm the champion. But he's going to trip up at WrestleMania. I don't see Seth Rollins walking out with his title at WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes will, and that's going to drive Seth nuts.
Yep.
This is fun, guys. There's just so many things to discuss. Fantasy booking, trying to figure out what direction things are headed. It's a great time right now. We are 30-something days away from WrestleMania. I cannot wait. And like we said earlier, AEW is doing some great things too. I did notice, though, with that gauntlet match, Jey Uso is not involved in it, so that pretty much is solidifying that we're going to get Jey versus Jimmy at WrestleMania, which I'm excited for that match as well. There's just so many matches that could be happening at WrestleMania 40 that I'm very much looking forward to.
Yep. Yes. Good. He shouldn't be in the gauntlet match.
Are you a Jey Uso hater?
I'm not. I love Jey Uso. But
it just doesn't seem his main event.
I've seen the podcast.
He's not main event, and we need to I think chill out with that moniker.
We're not going to. Yeah.
We are main event.
You see the logos behind us. Yeah, give us a follow on all of our socials at mainevent_net. 20-something of you watching live. I'd appreciate it if every single one of you hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and don't forget to check out our other channels, our podcast, the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, and the Wrestling Junkies. Mr. Cincinnati, what do you guys got coming up this week for the podcast?
So we've got a couple of great interviews. There'll be some new Stump the Smarks and breaking news. So the podcast that will be unavailable this Wednesday. So I had to call in a co-host, and I had to call in a couple of favors. The Lariato Pro Wrestling champion Bryce Cannon will be my co-host on Wednesday. Yes. So looking forward to a fun conversation with him about his match against Cardona. Podcast that we love you. You'll be missed, but got to keep the train rolling.
No, hey, I get it. I bought tickets to this concert months ago and totally forgot it was the next week. So that's on me.
That's what happens when you got twins smacking you in the face.
It does.
Yeah, hey, we got a guy too over at OTM. He goes by the name of Trevor Outlaw. We might have to set up a match with Bryce Cannon down the road or something like that. OTM versus the Wrestling Junkies. I don't know. Keep your eye on it, people.
Yeah.
Watch out.
We got good stuff brewing here at the network. So if you're interested in being a part of the network, whether it be a podcast, creating YouTube content, our bloggers are popping off with plenty of great blogs. Just reach out to one of us or the network itself at mainevent_net, and we can have a conversation on getting you involved because, like I said earlier, we're just a group of guys that want to create fun, unique, and not tribalistic approach to talking about wrestling. So make sure you follow our shows at Pod on the Mark and at Junkies Pod for more, and we will talk to you guys next time. Have a great Sunday, everyone.